It was 2 a.m. on a freezing Tuesday in January 1929, when Napoleon Hill sat alone in his office, surrounded by 3,000 pages of rejected interviews, 47 rejection letters from publishers, and a stack of overdue bills that reached the ceiling. He had worked 18 hours a day for the past 23 years, interviewing the most powerful men in America, and had absolutely nothing to show for it except exhaustion, debt, and the overwhelming feeling that he had wasted his entire life. At that moment of complete exhaustion, when any sensible person would have given up, Hill made a discovery that would not only change his life, but would define the fate of millions of people for the next 100 years. He realized that he was exactly at the point where 98% of people stop, just 3 centimeters from gold. In the next few minutes, you will discover the secret that Hill decoded on that somber dawn. There is a precise scientific pattern to extreme persistence that separates the 2% who conquer everything from the 98% who give up when victory is literally within reach. You will learn why working hard is not just about physical effort, but about a neurological revolution that transforms your brain into a machine of unstoppable achievements. This is not just another motivational lecture about never giving up. This is the discovery that there is an exact science behind extreme persistence, a formula that you can apply today to join the 2% who win exactly where everyone else stops. And the most shocking proof? Hill spent 25 years collecting data on failure and success to discover that 98% of people give up when they are between 70% and 85% of the way to victory. They literally stop meters from the finish line, not knowing they were about to achieve everything they had ever dreamed of. Do you know that devastating feeling when you work hard for months, don't see results, and everyone around you is saying, be realistic and give up? When your family questions whether you're wasting time? When you yourself begin to doubt if it's worth continuing? Marcos from Curitiba had invested 3.5 years building his technology company. He worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. He sold his car, borrowed money from family, slept in the office. After 42 months of insane work, the company still hadn't taken off. Everyone said, Marcos, you've tried everything. It's time to be realistic. Even his wife was considering divorce. That's when he sought me out, at the limit of total exhaustion. I can't take it anymore. I've worked harder than anyone I know, and it seems like I'm getting nowhere. Maybe I really am a failure. But Marcos didn't know that he was applying only 60% of the extreme hard work formula that Hill had discovered. When I taught him the other 40%, what Hill called the science of relentless persistence, his company exploded in 7 weeks. In 4 months, he had sold the startup for 2.3 million reais. It was as if I discovered I'd been digging in the right direction all along, Marcos told me, but I wasn't digging in the right way. Hill discovered that there is a fundamental difference between hard work and scientific hard work. Most people work hard chaotically without direction, burning energy in 1,000 different directions. But the 2% who conquer everything follow a specific pattern that Hill coded after studying more than 500 cases of extreme persistence. Hill's revolutionary discovery was that persistence is not a matter of willpower or motivation. It's a matter of neurological engineering. When you apply hard work in the specific way he discovered, your brain literally rebuilds itself to become resistant to discouragement, immune to fatigue, and incapable of giving up. Researchers at Stanford University recently confirmed what Hill intuitively knew. People who apply directed effort develop what neuroscientists call extinction resistance, a neurological condition where the brain becomes physically incapable of stopping. Before reaching the goal, Dr. Carol Dweck from the same university discovered that there are 2 types of people, those with a fixed mindset who give up when they face difficulty, and those with a growth mindset who see difficulty as fuel. But Hill went further. He discovered exactly how to transform any brain from fixed to extreme growth in just 21 days. The protocol that Hill developed that January dawn is based on 3 scientific discoveries he made, observing America's most persistent men: Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and John D. Rockefeller. The first discovery is that extreme persistence is not born from motivation, but from methodical obsession. Hill noticed that men like Edison didn't try to invent the light bulb. They had a physiological need to solve it. It wasn't a choice, it was a compulsion, but a directed and intelligent compulsion. In 1879, Edison had already tested 1,000 different materials for the incandescent light bulb filament. Any normal person would have given up at attempt 50. At attempt 100, partners wanted to stop the project. At attempt 500, investors threatened to cut funding. At attempt 800, even the most loyal assistants began to doubt. But Edison had something Hill called directed scientific obsession. He wasn't trying, he was systematically eliminating variables. Each failure brought him closer to the solution. When someone said he had failed 1,000 times, Edison replied, "I haven't failed. I've found 1,000 ways that don't work." On attempt 1001, Edison found carbonized Japanese bamboo. The light bulb worked for 13 consecutive hours. From there, Edison became the most prosperous inventor in history, with 1,093 registered patents. Hill realized that Edison didn't have more willpower than other people. He had developed what Hill called the unstoppable hard work system, a specific methodology that made extreme persistence not just possible, but inevitable. Hill's second discovery was that extremely persistent people don't win despite resistance. They win because of resistance. They transformed resistance into fuel to work even harder. In 1893, Henry Ford was building his first automobile in a garage in Detroit. He worked from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. in his workshop, then went to his real job at the Edison Illuminating Company from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. He slept 1 hour a night. This lasted for 4 consecutive years. His family said he was crazy. Neighbors complained about the noise. His wife, Clara, threatened to leave him. Co-workers made jokes about the car nut. Investors called him a clueless dreamer. But Ford had developed what Hill identified as resistance transformation into fuel. Each criticism, each obstacle, each no became additional energy to work more intensely. The more pressure, the more productive he became. In 1896, Ford completed his first automobile, the quadricycle. In 1903, he founded the Ford Motor Company. In 1913, he revolutionized industrial production with the assembly line. In 1914, he became one of the richest people in the world. "Resistance didn't stop me," Ford said years later. "It made me work smarter and more intensely." Hill discovered that people like Ford didn't have less resistance in their lives. They had more. But they had learned to transform resistance into additional energy to persist where others gave up. Carolina from Brasilia had tried to pass the federal judge exam for 7 consecutive years. She studied 14 hours a day, including weekends and holidays. She had taken the test 6 times and always placed among the top 20, but never managed to get the final approval. On the 7th attempt, she had a crying crisis in the middle of the oral exam. She thought, 7 years of my life thrown away. Maybe I really don't have what it takes. She considered giving up permanently. That's when she applied the resistance transformation method that Hill had developed. Instead of seeing the 6 failures as evidence of incapacity, she reinterpreted them as optimization data. Each previous test had shown where she needed to improve. Resistance wasn't her enemy. It was her feedback system. On the 8th attempt, Carolina was approved in first place. "I didn't win despite 7 years of attempts," she told me. "I won because of the 7 years. Each failure made me more prepared." Hill's third discovery was the most revolutionary. Extremely persistent people operate on a different temporal frequency. While most think in days and weeks, They think in decades. While most want results in months, they are willing to work for years. Hill called this legacy perspective, the ability to work hard today for results that may appear 5, 10, or 20 years from now. This shift in temporal perspective makes anyone literally unstoppable. In 1975, Bill Gates was 20 years old when he dropped out of Harvard to found Microsoft in a garage. Everyone said he was throwing away one of the best educations in the world to pursue a technological fantasy. For 10 years, Gates worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, often sleeping in the office. During the first 8 years, Microsoft almost went bankrupt 4 times. Gates had to borrow money from his father, sell personal assets, cut staff salaries. Investors gave up. Employees resigned. The press predicted the end of the company. But Gates had legacy perspective. He wasn't working for the next month or year. He was building for the coming decades. While others gave up for not seeing immediate results, Gates continued because he could visualize where technology would be in 20 years. In 1995, Microsoft launched Windows 95 and became the most valuable software company in the world. Gates became the richest man on the planet. But he had worked 20 years with this vision when 99% of people would have given up at the first serious difficulty. Roberto, from Salvador, wanted to be a writer since he was 18. For 15 years, he wrote every day from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. before work, and from 10 p.m. to midnight after his family went to sleep. He sent 847 manuscripts to publishers. He received 847 rejections. Friends said, "Roberto, you've tried long enough. Maybe writing isn't for you." His wife suggested, "Why don't you accept that this is just a hobby?" Even he himself began to question if he was wasting 4 hours a day for 15 years. But Roberto had applied the legacy perspective that Hill taught. He wasn't writing to be published next month. He was preparing to be a world-class writer in 20 years. Each rejection was a lesson in how to improve. Each criticism was optimization data. On manuscript 848, Roberto was accepted by a publisher. His first book sold 200,000 copies. The second became a bestseller. Today, 8 years later, he is one of the most respected authors in Brazil. 15 years seemed like a long time for those watching, Roberto told me. But for someone who was building a legacy, it was just the warm-up. Hill discovered that when you change your temporal perspective, from quick results to legacy building, your brain stops looking for shortcuts and starts working with the depth and intensity necessary for extraordinary achievements. But perhaps Hill's most profound discovery was what he called the law of 3 centimeters. After studying hundreds of cases of extreme persistence, he noticed a frightening pattern. 98% of people give up when they are just 3% away from total victory. During the gold rush in Colorado in 1890, 2 miners, R.U. Darby and his uncle, discovered gold veins and began to dig. After weeks of hard work, they found shining metal. Excited, they went home, raised money, bought equipment, and returned to extract the gold. Initially, extraction was successful, but suddenly the gold vein disappeared. They dug desperately to the right, left, down. Nothing. After weeks of fruitless work, they decided to give up and sold the equipment to a junk dealer for a few $100s. The junk dealer consulted a mining expert who examined the mine and said that the previous owners had stopped digging exactly 3 centimeters before reaching the largest gold deposit in the region. The junk dealer dug 3 more centimeters and found millions of dollars in gold. Hill used this story to illustrate his law of 3 centimeters. The vast majority of people give up when they are a few steps away from victory, simply because they cannot see how close they are to success. Paula from Goiânia had opened her nutrition clinic in 2019. She worked tirelessly for 2.5 years, attending from Monday to Saturday, studying at night, doing digital marketing, building a reputation. But by mid-2022, the clinic still had few clients, and she had been in the red for 6 months. Psychologically exhausted, Paula decided to close the clinic and go back to working as an employee. 3 years were enough, she thought. Clearly, I don't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. But a week before officially closing, Paula applied the 3 centimeters detection protocol that Hill had developed. She scientifically analyzed her data. Client retention was at 89%, satisfaction at 97%, recommendations increasing 15% per month. All indicators pointed out that she was building something solid. Paula decided to give it 90 more days. In week 6 of those extra 90 days, a client referred her to a company. In week 8, she secured a corporate contract. In week 12, she had a 2-month waiting list. Today, 18 months later, Paula has 3 clinics and one of the most solid reputations in the city. I was less than 2 months away from explosion, Paula told me, but I was going to give up because I couldn't see how close I was. Hill developed a specific protocol to identify when you are in the final 3 centimeters and how to persist through this critical zone where most people stop. Hill's complete protocol for developing scientific extreme persistence is based on 5 daily exercises that reprogram your brain to work hard in an unstoppable way. Exercise 1. Daily proximity analysis. Every night you analyze 3 indicators that show you are approaching the goal, even if the final results are not yet visible. Hill discovered that persistent people can see progress where others only see stagnation. Exercise 2. Resistance transformation. Every time you encounter an obstacle, you ask yourself, how can I use this to work smarter? Instead of resistance draining your energy, it becomes additional fuel. Exercise 3. Legacy perspective. Once a week, you visualize where you will be in 10 years if you continue working hard at the current level. This maintains your motivation when immediate results don't appear. Exercise 4. Productive obsession ritual. Every day, you dedicate at least 3 hours to the most important work without interruptions, even if you don't feel like it. Hill discovered that persistence doesn't depend on mood, but on system. Exercise 5. Failure reinterpretation. Whenever something doesn't work, you ask, what data did this experience give me to optimize my approach? Failures become information, not discouragement. Miguel from Recife applied these 5 exercises while building his digital marketing company. For 18 months, he worked from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, including weekends. The company grew slowly, but Miguel could see the proximity indicators that others didn't: improving work quality, clients staying longer, recommendations increasing. In the 19th month, a client brought a project worth $200,000. In the 21st month, Miguel had 8 employees and was one of the most sought-after agencies in the region. The 18 months were my investment, Miguel told me. The result came as a natural consequence of all that systematic hard work. Hill discovered that there is a fundamental difference between working a lot and working hard scientifically. Most people work a lot chaotically and get tired without progressing. But the 2% who conquer everything work hard systematically, directionally, and unstoppably. Modern science has confirmed Hill's discovery. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania discovered that grit, the combination of passion and persistence for long-term goals, is the greatest predictor of success, more important than talent, IQ, or initial conditions. Dr. Angela Duckworth, who led this research, discovered that people with high grit have a specific neural characteristic. They can maintain intense focus on long-term goals, even when facing repeated obstacles. This is exactly what Hill had identified 80 years earlier as directed scientific obsession. But Hill went beyond modern science. He developed specific exercises to train this neurological capacity in anyone, regardless of natural predisposition. The most powerful exercise Hill created is the 1,000 Days Ritual. You choose a goal that will take between 2 to 3 years to achieve and commit to working on it every day for 1,000 consecutive days, no matter what happens. No exceptions, no excuses, no days off. Fernanda from Fortaleza wanted to become a world-class graphic designer. She applied the 1,000 days ritual. She would study design for 4 hours daily for 1,000 consecutive days. Rain, sun, illness, parties, personal problems, nothing would interrupt the 4 daily hours. In the first 200 days, Fernanda didn't see much progress. In the first 400 days, she was improving, but still far from the level she wanted. On day 600, she started receiving the first compliments from respected professionals. On day 800, she got her first well-paid freelance project. On day 1000, Fernanda was one of the most respected designers in the Northeast, with clients competing for her services and job offers from international companies. The ritual transformed me into a completely different person, Fernanda told me. It wasn't just that I learned design, I learned to work hard in an unstoppable way. That changed my whole life. Hill discovered that the 1,000 days ritual not only develops specific skill, but fundamentally rebuilds how your brain processes difficulty, fatigue, and discouragement. You become physically incapable of giving up. Hill's most profound discovery was that extreme hard work is not sacrifice. It is the only way to experience true fulfillment. People who work hard scientifically report levels of satisfaction and meaning impossible to achieve through shortcuts or easy life. Thomas Edison worked 18 hours a day but said, "I never worked a day in my life. It was all fun." Henry Ford worked 20 hours a day building cars but said, "If you do what you love, you've never worked." Napoleon Hill worked 25 years collecting data to write Think and Grow Rich, but considered them the most rewarding years of my life. Hill discovered that extreme hard work, when applied scientifically, generates a psychological state that he called permanent productive flow, a condition where intense effort becomes pure pleasure and deep fulfillment. Dr. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi from the University of Chicago confirmed Hill's discovery by studying what he called flow state, moments of intense concentration where the person loses track of time and experiences extreme satisfaction. Csikszentmihalyi discovered that flow happens when there is a perfect balance between high challenge and high skill, exactly the condition that scientific hard work creates. Carlos from Porto Alegre had been a bank manager for 12 years, earned well, had stability, but felt completely empty. "I did everything automatically," he told me. "There was no challenge, growth, or meaning." Carlos decided to apply Hill's protocol to become an independent financial consultant. For 2 years, he worked 8 hours at the bank during the day and 6 hours studying and building his consultancy at night. Entire weekends studying the financial market, taking courses, building reputation. "It was the most intense period of my life," Carlos told me, "but also the most rewarding. For the first time, I was working hard for something that really mattered." After 24 months of extreme hard work, Carlos left the bank and opened his consultancy. Today, 3 years later, he earns 400% more than he earned as a manager and says he has found his true calling. Hard work wasn't a sacrifice, Carlos reflected. It was the bridge between who I was and who I was meant to be. Hill discovered that the true tragedy is not working hard and failing. It is never working hard enough to discover what you are truly capable of. Most people live an entire lifetime without ever experiencing their real potential because they never agreed to work at the level of intensity necessary to awaken their greatness. Hill's complete protocol for developing unstoppable hard work capacity can be applied by anyone, in any area, at any time. It doesn't depend on natural talent, initial conditions, or luck. It depends only on the decision to work hard scientifically and persist where 98% of people give up. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you recognizes that you have much greater potential than you're currently expressing. You know you're capable of much more, but perhaps you don't know how to access that capacity through systematic hard work. The choice is yours. Continue working at the median level where most operate, or discover what happens when you apply extreme scientific hard work for long enough to achieve extraordinary results. Hill spent 25 years working hard to discover the secrets of America's most successful men. These men didn't have superpowers. They had superior systems for working hard in an unstoppable way. Napoleon Hill proved that anyone can develop extreme persistence by following specific scientific principles. The question is not whether you have the capacity. The question is whether you are willing to work hard enough, for long enough, systematically enough, to transform that capacity into reality. Your moment of truth has arrived. You can continue being one more person who works quite a lot and achieves mediocre results. Or you can join the 2% who work hard scientifically and achieve extraordinary results exactly where everyone else gives up. If this content has awakened the part of you that is ready to truly work hard, if you are willing to persist where 98% stop, demonstrate it now. Comment, "I work hard," to energetically activate this decision, and share with people who are also ready to discover what they are truly capable of when they apply unstoppable scientific hard work. Because when you truly work hard, you not only transform your own life, you become a living example that it is possible to win where everyone gives up. Remember Hill's words, "Persistence is to man's character what carbon is to steel." When you work hard scientifically and persistently, you not only achieve your goals, you forge yourself into an indestructible version of yourself. Your extraordinary journey begins the moment you decide to work hard where everyone gives up. The world is waiting to see what you are truly capable of.